Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's live. Today, I am going live with one of my clients, Soledad. She told me that she wanted to share a little bit about her wellness journey in hopes to inspire other people and know that healing in a different way is possible. So we are very excited to have all of you. If you are watching the replay, welcome. Let us know if you have any comments or feedback down below. And I hope you guys enjoy this conversation. Let's see. As Soledad hops on again, I am Naomi, food and health coach, and I help women of color get on track with their nutrition. Hi, Sol. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to share this aspect of my life with everybody.
Tell us more. Why are you so excited? Because you share a
Yeah.
lot. Those of you who don't follow Soledad, follow her. I'm sure she'll share more about what she does, but super important. So go ahead.
So on Instagram, I'm Rita Soledad Fernandez Paulino, a financial coach that helps people self-care themselves to financial freedom. And that's cool, right? Like that's what I talk about. I talk dinero. I teach people about increasing their financial literacy so that they could become more optional, working because they want to, not because they have to. That's what I do for my work. But a big part of me is also that I've been dealing with autoimmune issues since I was 16 years old, and gut issues even younger. And through our work together, I've explored to see how my health issues are the result of trauma and, my gut just getting messed up because of the trauma. And I'm telling you, like, people, I spent so much time of my life seeing different doctors, always being told, oh, you have Hashimoto's, now you have this other thyroid thing, now you have maybe you have lupus, maybe you have, like, I was always being told that I had different autoimmune disorders and fibromyalgia. There was just so many different diagnoses that I just felt like, oh, I don't even want to go to the doctor anymore, because all they're going to do is give me some other new diagnosis, and like eventually everything does go away. Eventually I always feel better anyway, so why do I even start taking medications if eventually I'm gonna get better? And that has been, a lot of my life. And in 2022, in October, I realized, like, my business is going to continue to grow. And I was just like, I wonder if, instead of focusing on like growing my business and reaching different like revenue goals, what if I kept my revenue goals a little shorter, like a smaller, but I really figured out my wellness stuff. And I made a decision that I was going to focus on my energy and my time on my wellness and really getting healthy. Because I got to this point that I was like, I don't even fucking want more money. I don't want more money. I don't even want more money. What I really, really want is health. What I really, really want is wellness. And so, of course, I turned to you.
So just a sidebar here, what Soledad is saying is so important because we always strive for money and we want all this money and it looks so nice and it feels so good. But what are you going to do with this money if you don't feel good and you don't feel well, right? Like sometimes you can have all the money in the world and you can't even enjoy it. So that's a good one. So that can help you build your wealth and while we feel good at the same time so that we get to enjoy the fruits of our labor in that way, right? So you've spent all these years going to doctors. How long have we been working together so that everybody has an idea of how long that's been going on?
It's barely going to be 6 months.
Yeah.
It's barely going to be 6 months. And I say that because, damn, like, my life has fucking transformed. Like, so I came to Naomi, like, I was on IBS medication. I had my gut issues. I'm dealing with my PTSD stuff. I have ADHD stuff. Just feeling very, like, I always just describe people that, like, physically I felt like this. And I just thought like, oh, maybe that's my personality. Maybe I'm just really inquieta, you know? And one of the things that Naomi helped me identify and regulate real fast was my blood sugar issues. And just like, that's what I'm doing right now. Like I'm drinking my protein shake with my collagen peptides. And, I had my breakfast, but just that, like that morning routine was such a fucking game changer for me because I just felt a little bit calmer. And now, like, I'm not even on IBS medication anymore, which is wild to me. I also came to Naomi very kitchen hurt. Like, I didn't want to be in the kitchen to the point that we'd have these calls and Naomi was like, okay, well, why didn't you get up and eat? And I was like, because I don't have a cutting board. And Naomi was like, okay, so why don't you buy a cutting board? And I was just like, and the resistance to just do little things that would help me with my blood sugar was so challenging. And my resistance was so high. And I remember in January, I told Naomi, maybe in 4 years, I'll be able to start cooking. And then I just started cooking. And now, like, my relationship to the kitchen is so different. So to me, it's just like, it's wild to me that in 6 months, so much of my wellness, my relationship to wellness, like Naomi, I could just go on and on and on. And like, this is why I wanted to do this IG Live, because it's wild to me how much my life has transformed in such a little bit of time. And I mean, there's so many parts of my wellness. And I think I came to you, I remember on our consultation call, I was like, well, I know how to lose weight. I used to do Weight Watchers. Yeah. And it's like, part of what I realized is like, wellness has wellness, like it's just different, right? Yeah. And for so long, I thought me being healthy, I'm embarrassed to say this, everybody, so don't judge me too much, okay? But for so long, I felt that being healthy meant being a certain size. Yeah. It's meant very common. Yeah. And I know that's like the brainwashing, the conditioning of society. And so for me, it's like, oh, if I was a size 4, I was healthy. If I was a size 6, I was healthy. And with my health issues, my weight fluctuated a lot. So I could be an 8, I could be a 10, I could be a 12, I could be a 14, I could be a 16. And I always thought like, oh, I'm not healthy because of this size. Right now I'm a size 12 and I really, really feel I'm the fucking healthiest I've ever been in my life. And I wouldn't have known that before, right? Because I was so always fixated on weight versus like what I feel like in my body. And that's why I want to come here and like talk to everybody too, because it's just like, y'all, we have so much twisted. We just have so much twisted. Like, it is possible to sleep better. It's possible to have like better bowel movements. It's possible to feel just like more tranquila. Like, all of that is possible. And it's like related to what we eat.
Yeah. Related to how we eat mostly, and regulating our nervous system, which we've worked a lot on. Y'all, I don't want to paint the picture that it's been super easy, because I find that sometimes it gets lost in this after calls, but there were times where, it was just crying, it was just processing, it was just feeling, it was just giving time, right? And I love that it's such a full circle moment, because Soledad would give me so much backlash on cutting an apple, y'all. Like, cutting an apple. And she's like, no, I can't. And we're like, okay, well, we'll try something else. And then she messages me and she's like, I was a little anxious and I went to the kitchen to chop vegetables. And I'm like, who are you? Such a full circle.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think about like, what I really, really appreciate with coaching with you is I felt like you really let me take things at my pace. Like, upon onboarding with Naomi, she's going to tell you, oh, okay, here's your food journal and, take some pictures. And I was just like, nope, I ain't going to do any of that. And it's like, wow, because here I came through, paid $4,000. And I was like, oh, I'm here to work on my wellness. And then my wellness coach is telling me like, okay, well, this is what you got to do. And I was like, nah. And Naomi just like, let me go poquitito You know, like that's me, right? Poco a poco, todo con tiempo, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it was like poquitito, like so little. And she just let me. And part of what we had to do in our coaching calls was hold space for all the hurt and all the pain and all of these thoughts. And you
Mm-hmm.
would ask me questions, and I'd be like, well, it's because like I didn't want to be in the kitchen because of all these memories that I had with, you know, the femmes in my
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
right? Like, I was somebody who loved playing outside as a kid, always liked to be climbing trees, hanging out with my primo and my hermano. And I come from a Mexican family, and in that Mexican family, it's like, oh, you know, women are supposed to be cooking in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Kitchen. I combine those words.
New word.
um, yeah, new word. And so that was, so I just hated being in the kitchen. I always saw it as like punishment.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that my abuelita used to say is like, Soledad's gonna make so much money one day that she's not gonna have to like be in the kitchen. She's gonna be able to eat out when she wants to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was a flex to have enough money to eat out when I wanted to. And y'all, I didn't cook for 8 years. Like
It was that
8
guys.
years. I was not in the kitchen. And here I am, and Naomi's like, why? And I'm just so, and I like, we spent a few sessions just unpacking all these new layers of like simple as like, buy a cutting board, Soledad, get the knife for the apple. And I was like, well, I cut the apple, but you know, I want Joelle to cut the apple. Like, I did not want to be in the kitchen, right? And then, you know, eventually it was like, oh, well, and I had like this picture of my abuela in my kitchen, and Naomi was like, take her out. Just take her out. Let the kitchen be something else for you. So then I like try to play music, but like it was, I didn't want to be there. I did not want to be there. And then now we fast forward to now. We're legit like, if I'm having a day that I'm like, ugh, this has been like L on top of L on top of L. I'm like, let me just go to the kitchen, cut up some Brussels sprouts, cut up some carrots, roast some veggies. And I'm just like, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. I love that because there is this thing called kitchen her, or I guess that's what we came up with, because so many women come to me and they're like, I don't like cooking, don't expect me to cook. And I give everybody space and time. Tons of people, and they're like, I want to work together, but I don't cook. And they make that really clear. And I'm like, cool, that's fine. You don't cook, it's okay. We can figure out something else. But the point is that it is a place where we can show ourselves self-love and self-care. And it doesn't mean you have to cook every single meal of your day, but it is a skill that you want to, you know, lean into. And oftentimes that very heavy resistance is coming from a story that you don't even realize. So this is why I ask all those questions. And then it starts connecting the dots for you. And it's like, oh, this is why we're so hurt. But what about if we start redefining what that is for you specifically without having all the baggage that your family has put on you? And another thing you mentioned that I really want to touch on is that size does not determine health. Uh, I just had a conversation with another one of my clients today exactly about that. We often assume that, oh, once I'm skinny, I'll be good. Whatever skinny means to you, right? And it's not the case. You can be extremely sick and be whatever size you assume is going to equal health for you. And that's not true. So you can be a variety of different sizes or the size that you are now and be totally healthy. It's just that you haven't really tapped into that, what feeling good actually feels like, because we're so focused and conditioned to just look at the external piece of it, right? So I'm really glad you brought that up. And I'm really glad that you actually made that correlation where your size does not equal your health and you can feel amazing in that on its own.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not on like I'm not on IBS medication anymore, people. Um, I went gluten free. That
Yeah.
was a huge thing.
Yes.
Huge thing. Me going gluten free because of my gut issues, right? And then it turns out like my dissociation game was so strong that a lot of times I couldn't even be in my body long enough to notice the physical sensations that certain foods were providing me, right? Like I used food as a way to escape. I used food as a way to gain comfort on like after a long day.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really hard for me, like this idea of like giving up gluten, because I was like, wait, but when it's cold outside, I eat, I eat pan dulce and I drink a chocolate. So like, I have to have gluten. Or if I have a really stressful day, I have to go eat my donuts and I have to go eat my double stuffed Oreo cookies dipped in lechita. Like this was such a like habit, a coping mechanism for me to get through having my own business, being a parent of two children, like navigating all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what we worked on was me just like noticing and being in my body. And as I was in my body and I started to notice like how certain foods made me feel, yeah, gluten made me sick. Gluten made me sick, sick.
And when I would see it, I'm like, how did it make you feel? And you're like, I didn't sleep.
Like gluten would like mess up my bowel movements, it would mess up my sleep. If I had too much, my joints here, like in my hands and my elbows and my knees, I would feel so much pain, like I couldn't walk. And this is the thing, like the last time I went to the doctor, they said to me like, oh, maybe you have celiac disease. And I was like, otra vez, here's another little diagnosis. And I said, I've been tested for celiac. And they're like, yeah, but every time you come in, you stop eating gluten for a while. And when you get tested for celiac, then there's not enough gluten for your body to actually create the antibody. So it's not getting picked up in the test. And so my doctor was like, you probably have celiac disease. And I was just like, whatever. And he said like, well, eat some gluten and come in and we'll get you tested. I don't fuck with gluten, everybody. Where I am never going to get that final diagnosis because I'm just like, not for me. Gluten is not for me. I'm finally present enough in my body to notice like, me hace daño.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Yeah.
And so I, by letting go of gluten, which that, like, I'm 36 years old. If you would have told, like, I would have never ever thought I would live life without eating donuts. Like my family calls me donut, but there's like, Naomi has been very supportive and like, there's gluten-free bakeries, there's gluten-free desserts, there's all these gluten-free things. Like I'm manifesting that one day I'm gonna be like the ambassador for Siete food products because all of their stuff is good and it's gluten-free. But that's something else that you supported me with a lot.
Yeah, because I really want everybody to know that there are options out there. I think that there's a solution to everything. And we live in a very blessed time where there is so much variety out there for whatever your dietary needs are. So there are solutions out there. And something that you mentioned that's super important is how your joints started hurting. And that's something that a lot of people don't really associate with what they're eating. It's like, oh, I'm getting older. Oh, my knees, oh, my wrists. Oh, yeah, that's what happens, mid-30s, blah, blah, blah. But oftentimes it's just a sign of inflammation in the body, something that's going on. Obviously, like it's something you have to dig in more, but our bodies gives us signs as to what's happening. And because we don't know how to read our bodies, because as a society, we've just been very disassociated with leaning into what we feel. Everything is go, go, go. There's no slowdown. There's no really checking in or associating what we eat to how we're feeling. Then it's really hard to notice those signs. But once you become a little bit more aware, which was also difficult for you to drop into yourself, right? It can be a very important tool. And as a coach, I'm never like, there's just a few things where I'm like, we just need to stop this. But there's other things that I just let you and your body wean yourself off of. Like I was never like, Soledad, no gluten, because you wouldn't have trusted me, but you started to trust your body as to how it feels. And it's like, oh, there she goes, restriction or whatever. But it's like, no, your body's letting you know. So you have this choice of eating this food that's going to cause you a lot of pain, or just deciding not to eat it because of the way that it is making you feel. The power is still within you.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. When I think about, you know, what I feel like people need to hear
Yeah.
is that we've all developed coping mechanisms over the years,
Mm.
right? So, my coping mechanisms was definitely using food as a way to get instant pleasure, food as a way to get like, the dopamine,
Mhm.
right? To get instant gratification. That was a coping mechanism that I had, and that served me.
Yeah.
It served me for a long time. It allowed me to, get my bachelor's, to get my master's, to start a career, to, have two kids. And then it got to the point where it was like in excess, it started impacting my body. And the foods that I was using, like basically, I felt like I was at a crossroads of like, okay, are you going to keep using food as a way to get instant gratification? Or are you going to start making some life adjustments so that you're not seeking instant gratification all the
Mhm.
time? Instead, your everyday life is just more gratifying. And that I think has been a big part of our work together, because realizing, choices that I was making that was causing stress in my life, right? That was causing me, or like the length of my work days.
Yeah.
Like, why was I exhausted at the end of the day? Why remember when I had to also take naps because my blood sugar was like,
Yeah.
that was like a thing, like the energy, like all these little things that food, helped me with. But when I'm like, to go back to what I want to say, it's just like I had to learn new skills,
Hmm.
new habits,
Hmm.
new coping mechanisms in order to let go of gluten, in order to let go of the foods que me hacían daño, you know? And that takes time. That takes time. It takes, being curious and patient with yourself, exploring it. I'm a big bath person now. Like in the past, where I used to like be like, oh, I had a long day. Let me have double stuffed Oreo cookies with lechita. Now I'm like, let me have a bath with a Lush bath bomb and just relax there. Let me, take a walk outside. Pilates is
Hmm.
definitely one of my, new coping mechanisms that I just like, oh, it feels really good to be in my body. Coloring, drawing. I had to develop new coping mechanisms
Yeah.
in order to let go of foods and just habits that weren't serving me.
Yeah. It's really important what you're mentioning to build what I like to call a wellness toolbox. Like food sure can be a part of that toolbox, is very necessary sometimes. It's also a big part of building community, of our culture. So it should be there. The issue that I find is a lot of times is when it's your only coping mechanism, your only tool, which is a learned thing from childhood, right? Like how many times is like, stop crying, I'll give you a paleta, or if you do this, we'll go get ice cream, things like that. And it does light up those sensors in the brain that does give you dopamine, but dopamine can get tricky because it like doesn't cap off. So the little bit that you have, you need more and more and more. So one time I had a conversation with Soledad and I was like, dopamine is not the point. Like we need to train the brain
Mm-hmm.
not to want these quick hits all the time and bring peace into ourselves. So she started exploring she started exploring these different tools, and it might not feel the same or good for a little bit, but you'll grow into that and you'll see that it really does make you feel good. It's just that the brain is used to that one type of it's so funny because I have this note here too: dopamine, short-term instant gratification, and I think it
Yeah, I have mine here.
together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we're so used to that. But we really need to slow down and see how a bath or a walk or drawing or spending time calling your friends can really give you what it is that you need as well. That's more gratifying actually than food is, depending on the situation.
For sure. I keep showing that little post-it because I think one of the things that we had discussed, we said, so like release your attachment to dopamine, embrace serotonin, like let
Yeah.
serotonin be your best friend.
Hmm.
And That doesn't sound as cool. But I have, part of like my focuses right now have been two things: protect my sleep, protect my gut.
Yes.
And the more I sleep, the better like serotonin I have, right? Is that right, Naomi? Am I understanding that right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it produces
Um,
the happiness hormone. It produces like more stability. It produces more stability in your blood sugar. It's not just the foods that you're eating that disrupts your blood sugar, which can have you feeling all sorts of emotions as it goes up and it drops. Sleep is one of them that actually helps you manage. Our bodies are so smart. So it's going to ask for what it needs. And then sometimes it may feel like I don't have self control, right? But it's in essence, our bodies are just so smart and is asking for what it needs. So better sleep, better gut health, in turn, really helps the other processes in the body, like the blood sugar that you're talking about. And something you mentioned was naps. Like naps are great, but if this is something that you consistently need almost on a daily basis to be able to make it through your day, that's kind of a red flag too. It's great to rest, but sometimes if you're so depleted in that sense, then it's something to be mindful of as well.
yeah. As we wrap up, I just want to tell everybody I signed another 6 months to work with Naomi. My wellness journey is still continuing. I have learned so much, and yet I know I still need support. At the end of the day, I know that I still need support. I still need accountability. I still need someone who works on problem solving with me around issues that I have around my wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful that you do what you do, Naomi. I'm grateful to have access to you, like as a resource. It's so nice to be able to work with someone who is, Latina. Yeah. I mean, I could have gone to a nutritionist, right? And my insurance could have paid for it. And I did actually go to a nutritionist, but I just felt like there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way I'm gonna be here and like everyone just like I just didn't feel like I belonged in that space. And
Yeah.
I appreciate that I really feel like I belong with you and that you also have, your group coaching stuff that I know I haven't taken advantage of just yet. I know you have all these other resources, but it's like that's why I'm just doing things poco poco. But it's nice to know that that your services are available.
Yeah, thank you so much. What's one thing that you would share for somebody who's so scared to start on this journey?
It's okay to be scared. You can be scared. It's scary. Change is scary.
Yeah.
And I think you you can be scared and still take action that's going to transform your wellness trajectory. A lot of times I think that we feel fear and we think like, ooh, I shouldn't do this.
Mm-hmm.
When really it's like fear is it's a temporary emotion. Anything that's new, that's out of your comfort zone is going to be scary, and that's okay. You can be scared. You can be scared, and you can still take new action that's aligned with the wellness transformation you deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Soledad. Can you also please let everybody know how they can work with you? Because your work, it is life-changing as well, and I want everybody to know.
Everybody, I'm a financial coach. If you want to work one-on-one with me, you're going to have to wait because I'm booked out till June, but you can join Wealth para Todos Academy. 20 spots are opening up on May 31st. I want everyone to have the money to work with Naomi or whatever kind of coach that you need in your life to live life on your terms, right? I don't want y'all to think like, oh, my money ain't right. I'm not doing this because of money. No, money is just a tool. Use it to get the support that you need. And if you're struggling with managing your money, then join my newsletter, email list, follow me on Instagram. Make sure you learn those skills. It's all skills. You can
Yeah.
learn the skills that we need.
Yes, that one quote from Soledad changed my life. Money is a tool for what we need. So thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, your wonderful comments. And if you want to work with me, I do have a few spots open for one-on-one food and health coaching. I invite you to go ahead and book a consultation with the link in my bio. And I cannot wait to talk to y'all. Tag team us, y'all. Soledad and I together is just, you're going to win forever. Whoop, whoop.
Bye.
All right. So thank you so much. Bye.